Okay, next up is a dear friend of mine, Jean Scarboro. Jean has had lots of boat adventures over the last 20 years. She and her husband and her daughter spend 2 weeks every summer on their beloved Sharpie in the San Juan and Gulf Islands. She's also sailed in Baja, the Bahamas, and the Philippines, mostly on small boats held together with hope and duct tape. Jean has worked as a marina manager and lived on a variety of boats, including a 90-foot converted fishing tender, shag carpet and all, truly, a 60-foot sailboat, and a tiny 160-square-foot houseboat. Jean and her husband were married on their tugboat back in 2006, and for her next adventure, Jean is planning to solo the Washington 360 in a small sailing rowing boat, because I know that she can do it.
Hi. I want to first say I'm just really grateful to be here and to hear all of these inspiring stories from today and last night, and to have my daughter here to be hearing inspiring stories of different ways that women can live and be on the water. And I'm thankful to have a husband who, when I was learning how to sail, refused to teach me so that I could become an experienced sailor and an equal in my own right on the boat with him, and that we can also share experiences together. So I also want to say I had a partial tear in my rotator cuff recently, so I may or may not be doing the Washington 360, but the next time it comes around, I'll be turning 50, so I'll do it then if I can't do it this summer. Okay. Can people hear me if I talk like that? Okay, all right. So in 2008, my husband and I bought a boat in the Philippines from a fishing family and sailed it for 6 weeks for our honeymoon. Oh, there's a picture of the boat, because I want you to be able to visualize the boat as you hear this story. In particular, we wanted to sail in Palawan, which is a Filipino archipelago full of breathtaking islands. The Banca was like nothing we had ever sailed before. So traditionally, these boats were double outrigger dugout canoes made for rivers and coastal waters. The bottom of ours was made from a long piece of wood, and the sides were half-inch plywood. The outriggers were made of bamboo. It had a push-pull tiller and a metal rudder that was about like a little bit larger than a piece of sandwich bread. And then to steer, you sat behind a 10-horsepower lawnmower engine with an open pipe exhaust and no muffler. We brought sails with us, but the boat could only sail going downwind, so we essentially motored around the Philippines for 6 weeks, camping on white sand beaches and exploring seaside towns. So this is my story of taking a boat, both foreign and untested to us, across complex waters that we knew nothing about. So it's a story of adventure, arrogance, and dumb luck. Okay. All right, I'm going to say it one more time. If I stand back here, can everyone hear me? Because I'm like leaning. Okay. Why the fuck am I standing on a remote island in the Philippines, getting ready to leave a calm bay to cross 36 miles of open water on a very small boat? A boat whose hull is 18 feet long, but only 26 inches wide at the widest point. A boat made of materials unfamiliar to me, like the half-inch plywood and the small lawnmower engine. A boat we have owned for only 3 weeks. When Jake first suggested this trip, fly to the Philippines, buy a boat off Craigslist for $600, and sail it for 6 weeks, I jumped with questions. What kind of radio would we use? How would we fit our gear into such a small boat? How would we navigate boat logistics in a foreign country? Clearly, I wanted to put my tail between my legs and run, but also, I love adventures that make me nervous. Our boat, Saduts, named after a friend that blessed this trip for us, is packed and ready to go. I secure our galley dry bag to the boat and look at Jake. I'm looking for any sign that he is wavering. This is totally crazy, he says, his big eyes on fire with anticipation. We have been in so many unbelievable situations since this trip began. Taking hand drills and hand saws and 2-part epoxy through airport security, overburdening tricycle taxis with uncooperative pieces of plywood and boxes of boat supplies, tromping with these cumbersome things down a winding dirt road through mazes of cement houses, realizing we were the first people, as far as officials knew, wanting to take a fishing boat belonging to the province of Cavite out of the area for vacation, loading our boat and ourselves onto a ferry line infamous for fires and sinkings and deaths, just to get further south after other ferry lines were unwilling to deal with us and our difficult cargo. Never before had I walked miles in the hot sun to deliver boat supplies while children ran around me chanting, "Saw doots, saw doots, saw doots," after the name of my skinny new boat. And never again, I am certain, will I meet with the mayor of 88,000 people to ask for permission to take a fishing boat into new waters. These details matter because they are how I fell in love with saduts. And being in love with a boat is critical to a sea journey for me because love involves trust. And I would not take a boat I do not trust into potentially dangerous waters. I love this boat too because of the people. After our first launching, where we made it 1 hour north before waves flooded our engine and we were forced back to the beach that we'd just left, we were welcomed like old friends. 10 men pulled the boat ashore and hung our belongings to dry. 3 men removed our engine to troubleshoot it, and 3 more were sawing up wood for hatches. We stayed in this community for 4 days. A family on the beach offered us a bed and fed us 3 meals a day. I had never experienced such unequivocal generosity from strangers, most of whom we could not speak to because we didn't know any Tagalog. By the end of our time in Baja, Cavite, we had more freeboard, a new paint job, actually watertight hatches, a very effective bilge pump made of PVC pipe, a stick, and a t-shirt. It was very effective. A cleaned and freshly painted engine, bigger bamboo outriggers, and the kindness of people we will remember for the rest of our lives. How could I not fall in love? Jake lifts the bow of Saduts, and I shove a fender underneath. We crab walk her down to the water and climb aboard as she floats. Jake starts the engine, and we shoot forward. There is no neutral or reverse with a lawnmower engine, only forward. Jake adjusts the throttle by turning a round piece of foam that is nailed to the side of the boat and wrapped in fishing line connected to the carburetor. So if you tighten the fishing line, you increase the speed. It's one more construction technique that's captivating to us because it's so different than anything we know, but it's really common for the area. Jake finds the sweet spot for our little engine. I look back at the fishermen along the beach dotting the shoreline. Once we leave this little bay, we are committed. There is no turning back, no stopping midway. There is only forward. Over the last week, we have gotten mixed advice. One man was so concerned, he bought us disposable cell phones and gave us his number. He said our VHF radio is useless in the Philippines. He cautioned that a ferry boat, much bigger and sturdier than ours, had split in 2 just weeks before on the same crossing. Split in 2. He shook 2 fingers at us to emphasize his point. Then he asked, "Why aren't these islands enough for you?" Well, that is a difficult question to answer. We have traveled 7,000 miles by air, bus, ferry, and banca to get here. We have endured sunburns and sun poisoning and camp meals full of sand. We have sat behind a lawnmower engine with no muffler, shoving cotton balls in our ears to drown out the noise, constantly shifting our bodies while steering so the heat of the exhaust doesn't burn our skin or melt our polyester clothes again. We have spent money, time, and energy rising to countless challenges, and we are now just 36 miles away from the Palawan province, the inspiration for this entire trip, an area in the Philippines with 1,800 islands and islets. Palawan is full of remote coves, white sand beaches, virgin forests, green mountain peaks, and limestone rocks that jump hundreds of feet straight out of crystal blue water. And the last barrier between us and this paradise is where the Sulu and the South China Seas collide. We motor for a mile as the sun rises. It's 6 in the morning. We had intended to leave at 5, well before slack, but there is no electricity here and the darkness was consuming. We've already had near misses at night with other unlit fishing boats and a near sinking after getting a thick, unmarked oyster net wrapped around our prop, so we chose to wait. As we enter Linnapecan Strait, we are hit with swells from the South China Sea. At first, they feel smooth and relaxing. As they rise to 6 feet, I feel uneasy. Sailboats is so wide that when we take them on one corner of the bow, we are still dug in at the opposite corner in the stern, racking the boat in a twisting motion before we slam into the trough after each surge. It is very unnerving, and it's not long before the opposing swells from the Sulu Sea start undulating in from the south. Jake settles our beam perpendicular to the waves, and although it is counterintuitive, it's where sailboats wants to be, riding the trough. We travel this way for 10 miles, and then we putter into a bay on the northwest side of Linnapecan Island. It's been 3 hours. We're a third of the way to our destination. We were told the entire voyage would take 6 hours by a fisherman who shrugged when asked if our boat could make this journey safely. The charts we have for this area are minimal. They are warped black and white copies, 30-plus years old Admiralty pilotage charts. Thankfully, our boat draws virtually nothing, but I miss the finer details like depths, tidal rocks and reefs, let alone current speed and direction. We have not seen one buoy. We are navigating by crude charts, conflicting local knowledge, and what we can see in front of us. I would not teach anyone to boat this way. We eat breakfast and rig our sun tarp. Jake sucks on a plastic tube shoved in our gas can to refill our day tank. We figure it's still early enough to make good time before the wind builds, and we hope to make our final crossing at the next slack tide. I steer us away from Linnapecan Island. Now that I am on the tiller, I am keenly aware of our situation. Every time I steer the boat in one direction, a wave picks us up and moves us in another. I am constantly fighting the power of the seas with our insignificant rudder. The swells have built to 10 feet with the rising tide, and there is more chop as the wind fills in. After another couple hours of motoring, I am losing it. I have not been drinking water. The hot Filipino sun mixed with the engine's exhaust, pouring unfiltered and unmuffled right at me, is making my head hurt. Jake handed me food at one point, but I forgot to eat it. I start to feel seasick. The engine is so loud and my energy so low that I do not ask for help. I just keep steering. Then the boat begins to vibrate. I have no idea what's making the noise, and I am too miserable to care, but Jake points to an island off of our port bow. We find a place to stop. I get out the chart while Jake checks the prop. We have landed on Malubut Island. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but it's my best effort. It's the mouth of our final crossing. It's taken us 5.5 hours to go 22 miles. That's 4 miles an hour. We have 14 miles to go, roughly 3.5 hours before we can turn south to run with the wind and the waves along the Palawan coast. The prop looks all right, but the shaft is tweaked. Jake turns it 180 degrees and bangs on it with a rock. I am not sure if it's the momentum of the day or that we've already beaten so many odds these last 3 weeks to make it this far, or that we are both just stupid after hours of sitting in the hot sun exposed to raw exhaust, siphoning gas with our mouths every 2 hours. But we decide to keep going. As we leave Linnapecan Island, we are hitting max tidal flow. So much for slack tide. The shoreline to our left is rocky and wild, with water bursting in all directions. The seas get worse the closer we are to shore, with rebound waves from rocks mixing with 2 sets of colliding ocean swells and an opposing tide. So Jake heads us further out, where we discover a strong headwind that is building remarkably fast. I am more alert than I have been in hours. I locate our ditch bag. Swimming to the east side of Malubut Galubut looks the least risky, otherwise it's the South China Sea or Rocky Madness. That's assuming, of course, that I can swim through such rough seas. The wind must be close to 20 knots, and the swells are up to 12 feet. We are lost in them. Walls of water surround us. The horizon continually disappears. As we rise and fall in the confused sea state, our boat is torqued from all sides. I feel her shifting underneath me, and I am acutely aware of the thin plywood held together with 2-part polyester, the lawnmower engine, the implausibly small rudder. I may be in love, but Sadutz is not built for this. And we are truly inexperienced when it comes to her construction or troubleshooting her engine, let alone the complexities of these unforgiving waters. I look at Jake, looking for the usual reassurance I get in these moments, for his calm, comforting smile telling me that I'm overreacting, that we are fine. But that is not what I see. Instead, I see fear. And this, more than the monstrous swells or the wrenching hull, is what scares me most. After 2 more hours amidst the cacophony of wind, wave, and sputtering engine, dancing along unpredictable ridge lines of now 3 sets of converging seas, we near the end of our crossing. We expect conditions to ease when we are met with a tide rip, causing waves to come from 2 opposite directions. Sadutz groans. I didn't think she could twist more than she already had. I'm turning down, Jake yells. It's too early, I yell back. We have to turn. We are just 200 yards from the tip of the island we are trying to pass when Jake turns us straight at it. He maneuvers us through swells, turning down to run with one and then abruptly up to ride another. I am holding on to the sides of Sadutz so tightly that my hands are cramped and throbbing. My mind is dark as we are propelled towards a beach where tide rips are crashing over hundreds of large black rocks. I truly believed that we were not going to make it. An immense sharp grief overcomes me. And then suddenly, shockingly, we are released. The waves are still huge, eclipsing 800-foot cliffs just 2 miles to port, but they are consistent now, and we are running with them, surfing them into our little bay with just enough speed to drop anchor. I am shaking. I reach for Jake. His arms swallow me. I feel massive, like 1,000 helium balloons have exploded in my lungs, like I am floating untethered and magnificent over ocean and earth. I want to scream. I want to throw up. I want to feel the warm Palawan water rush over every inch of my skin. I want to build a shrine for this little lawnmower engine and get a tattoo of Sadutz on my ass. I want to turn Jake inside out just to kiss every part of him. And although I feel an undeserved, booming sense of pride for surviving the impossible and a powerful connection to life that defies words, I never, never want to do what we just did again.